Prepare to enter the darkest corners of the internet, where the line between reality and nightmare blurs, and the truth is stranger than fiction. Welcome to Reddit's repository of terror, where users share bone-chilling encounters, supernatural phenomena, and unexplained mysteries that will leave you questioning what lies beyond the veil of the unknown. Our first story is by user 1000 Indonanites. Let's begin. I think it was the third or fourth night that I was staying over at David's place that I realized I could understand what they were saying. The crows, I could understand what they were saying. Or rather, cawing. I remember the morning, waking up, staring at the unfamiliar ceiling, David breathing gently beside me. The cawing broke through the window, and I heard words. I stiffened, and then relaxed. There was nothing to be scared of. The words were quite innocuous. Wind, up, clouds, here, there, cars, food. They filtered through to me. I got up and walked to the living room to figure out how to use the coffee machine. Why do these things work differently in every place? David didn't get up. I stayed in the living room, eating breakfast and playing on my phone, unbothered by the words trickling through. Then I went back to the bedroom. David, he grunted, then reached up and pulled me back in. Where were you? Just in the living room. What were you doing in there? Oh, just had something to eat. Playing on my phone, you know. He frowned, muttered something like, phone all the fucking time. The mood between us shifted, soured. I didn't understand why he was upset. But then, as if a cloud passed, he became happy again, and everything was delightful. I forgot about the cawing. Days passed, becoming months. Everything was lovely, except when it was not. I woke up in the mornings before David, listening to the crows. I tried to stay in bed with him, timing myself to his rhythms, because he seemed so much happier when I did, and everything was just so much better when he was happy. I didn't tell anyone about the crows. Why would I? It seemed like a trivial, pointless ability to have. And besides, I had other things to worry about. David was so difficult to keep happy. That's all I wanted. But it never seemed to be working. It seemed to become easier and easier to make him unhappy. Sometimes it felt everything I did was wrong. But it would always pass. He would be lovely again, and we would have a lovely time together. And I'd find myself waking up to the cawing, trying to keep still so as to not wake David up, but not wanting to leave the bed either. Neither of those options were correct. I just listened to the words. Sky, up, over here, water, food. Then one evening his unhappiness didn't pass, and everything I said and did seemed to make it worse. It morphed into madness, and I spotted a glint in his eyes as he yelled at me that I hadn't seen before. I cringed back in fear as he squared up to me, my back against the wall. Then he dropped back, shook himself, and left the house, banging the door behind him. The fear slowly drained from me, giving way to a misery I never knew was possible to feel. I went to bed not knowing what else to do, and fell asleep sobbing. The harsh caw-cawing entered my sleep. Images of crows swirling against the clouds filled my brain. A particularly loud caw ripped my sleep apart, and I jerked up, gasping. I was awake, and the sound of the crow filled the bedroom. I could see its outline behind the gauzy curtain at the window, gray in the early dawn light. There was no sign of David. Leave. The beak opened and closed. I got up and slowly went to the window. I pushed the gauze aside. Leave, repeated the crow. He will kill you. He is coming back now. I stared at the large black bird, unable to move. Run. We will slow him down. The gray sky seemed to turn black as thousands of crows rose, cawing and then descending towards the driveway. I could hear the car. I became galvanized. Grabbing my phone, I rushed out of the back door and left his house. I began running down the streets. I never went back to that neighborhood and never heard crows talk again. I gotta say that's an odd experience. This next story is written by user Roxy19. I don't really know where to post this, but I need help. Every few weeks for the past 3 months, something has been trying to get into my house through my window. It started when I was 10. We had moved into a new house. On the second week of us living there, I woke up to something tapping and scratching on my window. I had a decently big window that was rounded at the top. It was around 3 to 4 in the morning. The sound started with tapping, then gradually became bangs. I hid under my blanket until it stopped, then I ran to my parents' room and woke up my dad. He did a full check of the house, and there was nobody to be found. We chalked it up to a bird or something. About 4 weeks later, it happened again, but this time it sounded like someone was trying to get in. This didn't happen again until I moved into the house I live in now. On New Year's, I was down the street at a friend's house when I got a call. It was my mom. Apparently, someone had been knocking on my sister's window. We both live on the second floor, and on our side there is no roof. I got home after having some fun with my friends and went straight to my room. Me and my friend were sitting in my room waiting for the countdown when there was a knock on my window. We both got spooked but decided to ignore it. This week on Tuesday, February 6th, I woke up to someone trying to open the screen on my window. I sleep with my window open due to the heat of my room, so it's not hard to get in. I yelled at whatever it was not wanting to look. When the noises stopped, I look at the window. My screen was about 4 inches open. I closed the window and sat there for a second until I heard my brother yelling. Apparently, the thing had gone to my aunt's window, who also lives on the second floor, and tried to get in. When it realized it was locked, it went to the front door. We aren't sure if it got in or not, but the door had slammed, and that's what woke up my brother. We have a motion sensor light in the driveway that somehow didn't get set off. Usually the smallest thing like a bug will set it off. I am genuinely scared and don't feel safe in my own home. If this has happened to anyone else, please let me know and tell me what I can do to make my home safer. What are your thoughts on this odd occurrence? This last story is written by user page Turner627. Let's get into it. From the moment I woke up that fateful Thursday, I knew something was off with Ellie. Her smile was too precise, her laughter a tad too mechanical. It was as if the woman I had loved for a decade had been meticulously replaced overnight by an exact, soulless duplicate. As days passed, the evidence mounted. She'd forget the small, intimate details of our life together, like our inside jokes or the story of how we met, brushing it off with a laugh that sent chills down my spine. Her eyes, once warm and inviting, now seemed to peer into me, calculating, cold. I found unfamiliar clothes in our closet, and her taste in food changed overnight. It was as if she was learning to be Ellie, but failing. My heart raced with terror at the thought. What had happened to my wife? And more importantly, was I next? The thought consumed me, gnawing at my sanity. I had to act, to escape, to save myself from being replaced by whatever entity had taken Ellie. The morning jog was our routine, a path through the quiet woods near our home. It was there I decided to confront this imposter. As we ran, the silence between us was suffocating. Then, as the sun began to rise, casting long shadows between the trees, I stopped, facing her. The imposter smiled Ellie's smile, but I wasn't fooled. "Milo, you're scaring me," the imposter Ellie said. In a moment of pure terror and desperation, I did what I thought I had to do. I attacked, plunging the knife into her, again and again, until the imposter lay motionless, her blood staining the leaves. I stumbled back, panting, the reality of my actions crashing down on me. I returned home in a daze, setting fire to the life we had built together, trying to erase the existence of the entity that had dared to replace my Ellie. As the flames engulfed our home, I waited outside for the police, the fire reflecting in my empty gaze. The standoff with the police was brief but tense. Cornered and desperate, I almost welcomed the end. But they took me alive, demanding answers I didn't have. The explanation from the psychiatrists is like a slap in the face. Capra syndrome, they said. A delusion that loved ones have been replaced by imposters. But how could they not see? This wasn't a delusion, it was survival. They tried to convince me, to show me evidence, but I knew better. Ellie was gone, taken from me, and I was alone in a world that refused to see the truth. The days blended together in the sterile, suffocating environment of the padded cell. The monotony was broken only by the visits from doctors who spoke to me with feigned empathy, their eyes betraying their true thoughts. They saw me as a case study, a man lost to his own mind. But within that confinement, my resolve only hardened. Ellie's memory, the life we shared, fueled my determination. I wasn't going to rot in a cell. I needed to find the truth. Escape seemed like a fantasy until I noticed a pattern. The guards, complacent in their routines, became predictable. There was a brief window during shift changes when their attention wavered. I started feigning progress, engaging more with the staff, slowly earning their trust, and with it, a slight relaxation of their vigilance. One evening, as the guards changed shifts, I seized my moment. Using a makeshift blade I had hidden away, I managed to unlock the door. The halls were dimly lit, the majority of the staff focused on the more troubled patients. Moving with a quiet desperation, I navigated through the maze of corridors, blending into a group of night shift workers to avoid detection. The exit loomed ahead, a beacon of freedom. Then, out of the shadows, an orderly stepped into my path, a young man whose face flickered with recognition and alarm at my presence. "Hey, you shouldn't be here," he shouted. Without thinking, I lunged forward, my crude weapon in my hand finding its mark. A gasp escaped him as he stumbled back, clutching at his side, shock and betrayal in his eyes. I didn't pause to see him fall. With a racing heart, I pushed through the doors into the cool night air, disappearing into the shadows. I keep moving, avoiding the light, the people, the life I used to know. My days are spent in hiding, my nights scouring the internet in dingy internet cafes, researching anything that might lead me to Ellie. I wear my anonymity like armor, always aware that one slip could send me back to the confines of that cell. They say I'm a madman, a killer, but I know the truth. I did what I had to do, and if I had the chance, I'd do it all over again. For Ellie. We ended this video with quite the bang. For more stories like these, stay tuned. I'm open to cover your guys' suggestions. Till then, thank you for watching.